Go Birds! That is the subject of this video. If you don't know what Go Birds means, how about I say E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles? You know what that is? This is probably going to be our most popular, most viewed, most watched, most commented on, most liked, most subscribed video, most important video on none other than, drumroll please, the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey everybody, it's Gregory Martyr coming at you from Eagles Central, Eagles headquarters, which is in my head, which is in my living room, and in my heart. My heart, you're in my soul. So the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? Not only am I your local real estate expert, but I'm also your local birds expert. Bird's eye view. Thinking about the Eagles, do you bleed green? Well, we all do too here. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about, and boy, could I make an hours and hours and hours long video about my dearest, the best, the most fierce Philadelphia Eagles. All right, so let's take you back in history a little bit. So, I found some data back to like 1899. But the Eagles weren't always called the Eagles. Now, don't anybody get upset. And I'm sure this video is going to get a ton of comments because I'm probably going to give some stats that are maybe not 100% accurate. I'm also going to give my opinion here and there that maybe not a lot of people will appreciate. Maybe Mike and Mike. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So let's say 1899. Okay, let's take you back to a day before the Eagles. Actually, technically, I think they officially started around 1933. Now, they were called the Yellow Jackets then. That's right. The Green Eagles bled yellow. But they weren't always Yellow Jackets, although they pretty much were. They were kind of a conglomerate of teams back when. They weren't the beautiful birds of today, but originally the Yellow Jackets, now today the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you don't know anything about the Eagles at all, please turn off this video. No, I'm just kidding. You're more than welcome to learn about the Eagles and give your comments below. So they're part of the NFL, National Football League. Okay, I'm trying to keep it very basic here in the beginning. Part of the NFC East Division and currently are playing at Lincoln Financial Field, otherwise known as the Link. The Eagles have been in the playoffs 27 times and have won 14 division titles. So you statistical experts there, hit like, hit subscribe while you're maybe wanting to hit me for maybe giving some inaccurate information. So playoffs and titles are important, but let's talk about the Super Bowl, the big game, what we all wait for every year. So there's a trivia question, 2 parts. How many Super Bowls have the Eagles won? And how many times have the Eagles been in the Super Bowl? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to give any hints. But I can tell you one of the answers is more than 1, and one of the answers is more than 0. All right, so let's talk about rivalry. So the Philadelphia fans, and we could have a whole video on that. I think I mentioned the Philadelphia hardcore fans sometime before, and I'm sure not just more than once. But again, critically acclaimed, and some people will have a different opinion than mine, but there are several intense rivalries. Most notably, I would say, is the Cowboys. Cowboys suck. Oh, sorry, Cowboys. Sorry to talk like that, too. Hopefully nobody got offended by the use of my vernacular. So, Cowboys, I mean, I don't know why or how it started or why. I mean, they never did anything wrong, right? Except exist. Just kidding. Hey, if you're moving from Dallas, it's okay. We can still get along. We can still be friends. But you'll have to become an Eagles fan. So, another rivalry is with the Washington Redskins. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Washington football team. Please forgive me. I hope I'm not going to be slighted, admonished, or God forbid, put in jail for calling them the old name of their team. I don't know how many people I offended by calling them the Washington Redskins, which they're not called that anymore. I believe they're called a very thoughtful name of Washington Football Team. So that's cool. But additionally, the New York Giants is also a rivalry now for sure, because I remember that and growing up and still dislike the Giants. Well, I should say, like them less than the Eagles. Also, we have a rivalry with our fellow Pennsylvanian team, the Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, one time the Eagles and the Steelers were the same team, or they were combined a team. I think it was right around World War II. That's an interesting fun fact that should be on Jeopardy. So today, the Eagles are owned by Jeffrey Lurie. Lurie, hallelujah. He's owned the team since 1994, and I remember when he purchased the team, it was for almost $200 million. The Eagles are worth, well, how could you put a value on the Eagles today? But if you had to look at a spreadsheet or some kind of a financial statement, the Eagles are worth more than $2.5 billion. And to me, they're worth infinity, billion, trillion, gillion dollars. Is that even an amount? Whatever the most amount is times infinity. Okay? All right, so let's take you back a little bit. In the 40s, there was... let me say this. Historically, the coaches of our team have lasted maybe a few years. Like 3 years seems to be the average. So everything's the coach's fault. The players have nothing to do with it. Fire the coach. All the problems are solved, right? Do I sound like 94 WYSP right now? All right. So, they're not even called YSP anymore. Jeez, I'm really dating myself.
Steve Van Buren blast off right tackle for the game-winning touchdown.
You're talking my language. So, but back in the 40s, the coach lasted, I guess, almost 8 years or 9 years. They actually were an excellent team then. They still are today, but they won a few championships during the 1940s. I think it was 47 and 48. Also 1949, I think. But back in this time, the early 40s, 1943, I think, during World War II, there wasn't enough people to fill a roster. So they combined with Pittsburgh to become the Steagles. Okay? And the name Steagles actually won out over the Phil Pitt Eagles. The Phil Pitt team. Look, Steagles, I think, sounds better because it mostly says Eagles and we just ignore the ST part. Now, in this era of football, there was something known as the 60-Minute Men, and it actually might predate that a little bit, but the 60-Minute Men were those that actually played the entire game, both offense and defense. Could you imagine that today? These overworked people having to play the entire game? I mean, maybe getting a break, catching a break during touchdowns and during timeouts, but they would play both on offense and defense. Which players do you think today could, first of all, handle it, but second of all, which positions could they play? So coming up in time, talking about 1960 and leading up to that, 1960 still seems to be like the most celebrated or the most known, the most talked about era of and year of the Philadelphia Eagles team. I mean, that was the year of Chuck Bednarik. I mean, he was there on the team for years previous. I think that was his last year too. And him and his group, I mean, they led the team of being nothing but champions. True grit. I mean, these were real tough players. So as we come into the 70s now, we've got an era of Dick Vermeil. Now, he was late 70s, early 80s, and he took us to a championship. He took us all the way to the big game as well. Check out Super Bowl XV, but that was Super Bowl 15, for those of you that don't know what XV means. So Vermeil was from UCLA, I think, and he had this really cool idea, I think, of course, my opinion being a cool idea. Well, he opened up tryouts for the Eagles just to the general public. Like, here they come. Like, doors are open. Come on in. You don't need to have any skill at all. You can just think you're a great player. Now, I know a lot of you today would be lining up in South Philadelphia all the way to Port Richmond, lining up at Lincoln Financial, if they did that today. If you want them to do that today, just let me know. I'll send them an email. I'm sure they'll take that right into consideration because I know a lot of you are much better coaches than the one we have today. So anyway, but that was highly criticized, both positively and negatively, for me to do that. But we got Vince Papale now. Papale. It's Vince Papale is how you pronounce it. And forgive me, sir, Mr. P, if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Having a little bit of a brain freeze because I got birds on my mind. But so what is my point? He did something that was outside of the box, as some of you might say, and it was good. It was good all around for all of us. Took us all the way to the championship. All right, so the early 80s brought us, early to mid 80s brought us the Swamp Fox, and I shouldn't even say the early, or I should say the middle 80s, but didn't bring us. I mean, it was a defensive coordinator, I think, that got transitioned into head coach status. So you do see a lot of that, a lot of offensive or defensive coordinators being then, put into a head coach role. But just as much, I would say, or more, often they're pulling coaches from other teams, and or even from the college level. But they haven't opened that up for the general public, which I'm surprised. I mean, I'm sure no one would want to line up there to become the coach of the Eagles, because it seems everybody really has a much better idea than what actually happens on the field. So, and of course I'm laughing because I am kidding. I'm half kidding, but I'm also being very serious at times, because I know I'd make a great coach. And I mean, that's just my opinion. But hey, listen, that's not my problem. Jeffrey Laurie, if you're listening, shoot me a text. I'll be happy to meet with you. Discuss. I'll send you my resume of all the Monday morning quarterbacking that I've done through my time with the Birds. So something interesting in the 80s I wanted to mention was the team was actually sold off then at the time to pay off gambling debts. Now, is this true or not? I don't know. Is this a myth? But it's such classic Philadelphia. I mean, it is typical, awesome, gritty Philly. All right, so mid to late 80s, all the way through 1990 or 1991, was it? We got Buddy Ryan. Now, this is what I remember most. I remember this team. I mean, this is my most fondest memories of the Eagles ever. Growing up with the Birds, we got Buddy Ryan, we got Randall Cunningham, you got Seth Joyner, you got Reggie White, God rest his soul, Jerome Brown, God rest your soul, sir. We've got the days of Greg Garrity and Mike Quick, and boy, were they a super team. And man, they were tough. You talk about a great team. And you talk about a lot of pride. What an excellent, excellent group. At the time, they were at Vet Stadium. Now, Veterans Stadium was massive. And boy, you could hear that stadium howling. And that whole part of the city would just rumble when those Birds were taking the field. The likes of Clyde Simmons and Jerome Brown and Mike Golick. I mean, Mike and Mike. The gangrene defense. Oh, man, what a great era. Those were also the times around, if you remember, like the refrigerator wasn't on our team, but I'm trying to bring you back to a time when we were then. So, of course, the team, they don't do well. It's Buddy Ryan's fault. Everything's the coach's fault. So we fire him immediately, and then we give the job to, what was it, Kotite? Or I think that's how you say his name. And so he didn't do so well either. He didn't listen to the fans. So he certainly tried. I remember Randall Cunningham was an excellent player, by the way. He got injured, and Jim McMahon, the backup quarterback, took over, and it was just an exciting time, and just a real like brotherhood, really what identifies Philadelphia, and sticks with me in my mind from what I can remember and from what you can see on TV and so forth. So we struggled a little bit in the 90s. We had Ray Rhodes. I mean, look, these guys all mean well, and I'm not pointing the fingers, but it always seems like, they can. It's like crap rolls uphill, right? Or how do they say that? When there's a complaint, you call where the buck stops. Look, whoever's in charge, it's their fault. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They had a 10-6 season, though. I mean, not too bad. Mostly I think through the 90s, mid to late 90s. So late 90s, I think it was 1998. No, I think it's 1999. I'm going to stick with 1999. We got Andy Reid. Now, Andy Reid was with our team for, more than 12 years, I think. Maybe even 15 years. Up until 2011, I think, or 2012. Somebody comment that. I'm sure you will anyway. Whether I said it or not, you probably have the exact date. But he was instrumental. I mean, what a new force and a new breath of life was brought into our team in that time. And he actually brought on and drafted Donovan McNabb. Now, McNabb, man, what a player. I mean, MVP and he was from Syracuse, I think. But anyhow, McNabb and Andy Reid and Super Bowl 39. Now, what is that? XXXIX? Is that XXXIV? It's XXXIV. Roman numeral XXXIX. That's my official final thing. Look, Super Bowl 39. Now, Andy Reid was unknown. Donovan McNabb was unknown. They got booed, but look what they did. This is a classic Philadelphia, booing the selection of Donovan McNabb and then taking him in their arms and taking good credit. I mean, again, classic Philly. Look, it takes us a little while to get to know you, okay? And we don't like you when we first meet you. But boy, when you can prove yourself by your actions, you are one of us. One of the brothers of the city of brotherly love. Brothers and sisters alike, and Eagles. So after Andy Reid, we got Chip Kelly. Now, there was the Michael Vick issue there. We had a couple of rough patches with our team. I think he stayed with us a few years. Decent seasons overall. We never thwarted. Their playing never lowered our love for our local team. And I remember Fletcher Cox, and 2013 was actually a great year for the Birds. A very successful season. So next we got Doug Pederson. Okay, now he was here I think about 4 years. And look up Super Bowl Lee, or is it Lie? L-I-I. Roman numerals again. We're trying to give you a little history lesson, not just on the Eagles, not just on the Birds, but also on Philadelphia. Super Bowl 52. So if you're watching the video and you're counting up what I've been saying, you've already been able to answer me. But I'd love to hear your opinion on that Super Bowl. Also on the quarterback situation. I mean, you've got these no-name guys, and no offense. I mean, they're great players and super athletes. But 2017. Carson Wentz, Nick Foles. Just Google that, okay? I'll wait.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, did you do it? Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl 52, LII. Such a true, great American story, such an awesome football story. And of course, it's the Eagles, the Birds, baby. So, the underdog, the bench warmer, look. Bench warmers are the backups. It's like the, what do they call that when you're in the theater and you're studying under the role? That's it, the understudy. Not the Undertaker, the understudy. Well, I mean, Nick Foles just took America by storm and just took me, surprised us all. And of course, again, just like in Philadelphia fashion, we didn't really accept the fact that he was going to do a good job. But boy, when we were proved wrong, we admit it, and we were proved wrong. So thank you, Nick, Doug, Carson, Birds. All right, so present day. Now, this is nearing the end of 2021. We got Nick Sirianni. And now he just took over, and look, he means well. He's doing a fine job. Now, we took a big hit of money and having to give up certain players. It's like it gets political and it gets financial. And well, look, this is how football works. But We had to pay a bunch of money to get rid of a player, but it also gave us the opportunity to pick up Devonta Smith. Now, that's a Heisman Trophy winner, wide receiver. You know what? He reminds me of Mike Quick. And I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. I hope Mike Quick doesn't mind me saying that. But we got a lot of possibility, and, we didn't do so hot this season, but we survived, and you know what we got the most of? We got the most heart. We also got the most grit, and we also got the most courage. Okay, that might be my opinion. I might be wrong. But we got to see where this takes us from here and hope for the best, plan for the worst. I'd like to hear your opinion on what went good and what went wrong this season, and not how we could have improved, what we should have done, but what is in store for us in the next season of 2022. I'll leave you with this, and I'll try to serenade you in honor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. So there's a whole song there that we have, and Eagles, Eagles. Sorry, something just overcame me. But go Birds. And remember, if you have anything Philadelphia Eagles related or Philadelphia related at all, or Pennsylvania or real estate, or you'd like to know what the meaning of life is, go Birds. Give me a call, shoot me a text anytime. I'm Gregory Martyr, local real estate expert, local humble Philadelphia Eagles fan. Have a great day, everybody.